YouTube, what's happening? Mr Altier here, giving you observation from the real world. Now, on today's video, people, it's going to be another lesson of the day series, and today's episode number is going to be 34, and the topic title is going to be Don't Fall into the Trap of Family Pressures. Now, before I do kick off, people, first and foremost, make sure you stay hydrated. I've got a slightly different water today. I've got coconut water. Why? Because that's my form of natural electrolytes, and I haven't drank my litre a day. So I try on a daily basis to drink about a litre of coconut water, just because it's a great natural form of electrolytes. I've done the supplements with the electrolytes, but it's just not for me personally. Now, back to the point in today's video. Don't fall into the trap of family pressures. What do I mean when I say this? Well, first and foremost, ladies and gentlemen, this was a very interesting idea for today's video because it actually happened earlier on today. So today in the world where I reside, it's currently Monday, and fortunately I had the day off and I was running a few errands. And Mondays, most days I'm always on the move anyways, but I was running a few errands and I said, oh, do you know what? I need to drink some water. You know, I could feel my mind and my body wasn't aligned. I needed to hydrate my body, keep the energy flow going, right? I had not ate too long ago, so I needed a few hours to digest the food and let it actually settle. So I was like, right, let me go to get some water. So I popped into this corner shop and there was a lovely shop assistant, right? Let's call her that, right? She was a shop assistant and she just assisted me getting the water because I weren't too sure. It's not my local usual shop. I was going to different areas, see? And you could tell like she wanted to have a conversation. And this girl's a British Muslim girl, right? She's Muslim, but she grew up here. She's born here, raised here, like. But she had her hijab and her attire on, right? And before I do jump into this, I don't want people thinking I'm coming at the Muslim community. I respect everybody's community. I don't want any problems with the Muslim community too. I also have a mate who's a Muslim as well, right? So I feel to some extent obliged to be able to speak on this, right? So I'm not personally Muslim myself, but like I said, I've actually got a mate who's a Muslim. So, you know, I've also been exposed to the culture too through that mate, right, meeting his parents and so forth. And I just know of people, I don't know those are the people on the same level as my mate, but I know of those people to some extent. But back to the story, people, right, which will eventually lead to the lesson, right? So she helped me and assisted me, and she started speaking, and I could tell she wanted to have a conversation. I could tell, okay, cool, this sort of woman, she wants to talk, she wants to just actually connect with the community a bit, and that's great, you know, it's great customer service. So unfortunately I wasn't in a super big rush, so I spared a bit of time, and then we started talking, and she explained to me how she's recently been married. So I started, do you mind me asking how old you are? And she told me she was 19. And obviously, as I mentioned, being aware of the Muslim community and some of the culture, right? I know that they can choose to get married on their own, or it can be pre-arranged as well. They're not forced into these things, by the way. I'm actually aware of that myself, but they're pre-arranged in a sense of the most compatible partner for them. And marriage is not a bad thing, right? In today's society where we're all anti-marriage, it's not a bad thing. Me personally, go check out my perspectives of marriage from a fatherless child's marriage from a fatherless child's perspective. You can go check out a video, you see my point of view. But she was kind enough to explain whether it was, pre-arranged or not, and she admitted that it was. And she said it was a great decision, but she also felt it's very hard to manage everything, i.e. she now is part of the business, right? I asked, okay, cool, do your family own the shop? And she said, yeah, my family own the shop. And I said, oh, that's awesome, man. You guys have got a few investments. She goes, yeah, actually, we've got a few shops, actually. I said, oh, that's amazing. You got more than a few investments, right? But she did say she felt very pressured, you know, deep down. She had a dream of going to university and studying a specific subject, right, and getting a degree. But because of that family pressure of trying to fall into the trap of having to kind of please the parents by staying in the family business, she struggled, right? But she did want to emphasize that the marriage part wasn't 100% family pressure. It may have been 50%, but she kind of just wanted to make sure that she understood what she was going into, right? Just like anyone else. But it's a very difficult situation because at the end of the day, right, I can't speak on that. I'm not a Muslim, I'm not part of that community, but just looking at her as a human being, a decent human being, right, I think everyone deserves the human right of free choice, right? We have the freedom of speech. I think we deserve the right of free choice as long as we're mentally capable of making our own choices. And sometimes in life, when you make choices, it can displease other people. But I learned not too many years ago, right, to stop pleasing people and just doing what's best for yourself, because at the end of the day, you only have one shot at this thing that we call life. And you want to waste it on trying to please your family and maybe getting married, which is 50%, but then 100%, you don't want to stay in the family business, but you're scared because of the family pressures. And now that you've kind of put this mask on to say that you're happy going down that route, but then time showing that you're not, because you can't uphold a mask for so long that you're now struggling. And once you open up that part, I said, look, you know, the best you can do is be honest with your family, right? And do what you love, because at the end of the day, God forbid, right, let's say maybe a family member passed away who put the pressure on her, right? What's she going to do then, right? She kind of existed for that other person. So there's pros and cons, you know. I think with being in business with family, me personally, I don't really want to go into that route. However, let's say I had a child and I've got a business, right, and I want to hand it over, then yeah, more so I could potentially hand it over to my child. But that's if they want to do it. I think, once again, every human, as I said, deserves the right of free choice of what they want to do in life, as long as they're not harming anyone or causing any problems to the rest of the world. But to summarize today's lesson of the day, people, to those people out there in the world, right, don't do things to impress your family, right? It's super hard because family are our close ones, the people that we love the most, but sometimes they don't know us, because the only person that truly knows us, as long as you're in alignment with yourself, is moi, right? It's no one else. So whenever you're maneuvering in this world, don't forget that, you know, self-love, self is first, right? If you can't help self, how can you help others, right? I was in a period of solitude for at least a year, you know, and that period was phenomenal because I got to know myself, but it was also quite dark at times, because it's the real reality of, yeah, you're on your own, mate, sort of thing. But it's just a process. But once you really know yourself, then you can now come back in the world and kind of say, hey, this is me now, right? The evolved version of yourself. But to summarize, people, right, don't do things for family, right? We only have one life. So for those in the Altier community that experience this, please do reach out to my email. It's going to be all information in the description box below. Check out my social media, Diary of Mr Altier. As I've mentioned, I'm not a regular poster on there. You know, a lot of the stuff I do is purely for us within the Altier community. It's not super personal, but please do reach out and maybe we can book in a consultation at some point. But don't do things for family, people. Do things for yourself. Trust me, you won't regret it. Peace and love, people. Mr Altier out.